The universe has a funny way of bringing souls together, even in the darkest of times. Imagine our world, not as we know it, but under the shadow of an alien invasion. The cities we call home, now hunting grounds. This is where our story begins, in the heart of the chaos, with Kalen. He wasn't human. He was one of them. A soldier in the invading force, bred for conquest, his heart supposedly a void. His mission was simple: pacify the planet, eliminate resistance. And on a day like any other, scouring the ruins of what was once a bustling metropolis, he found her. Alina. She wasn't a soldier, not a fighter. She was just a survivor, huddled in the skeletal remains of a library, surrounded by the ghosts of stories. Her eyes, wide with terror, met his. In that moment, protocol demanded he raise his weapon. His training screamed at him to complete the objective. But he saw something in her gaze that short-circuited his programming. It wasn't just fear, it was defiance, a spark of unbroken spirit that shone brighter than any star in his home galaxy. He looked at her, this fragile creature of a world he was meant to shatter. And for the first time in his existence, he disobeyed. Lowering his weapon, he gave a subtle, almost imperceptible shake of his head before melting back into the shadows, leaving her shaken but alive. That single act of mercy became a secret, a dangerous thread connecting to worlds. Kalen found himself drawn back to that ruined library, again and again. He couldn't speak to her, not at first. Their languages were as different as their biologies, but he could protect her. Using his knowledge of patrol routes and troop movements, he became her silent guardian. He would subtly alter patrol paths, create false sensor readings, anything to keep the area around her shelter a pocket of manufactured peace. His comrades marched past, oblivious, while he watched from a distance, ensuring her sanctuary remained inviolate. Their encounters were fleeting, stolen moments in the twilight hours. He would leave rations, clean water, a medical pack he'd pilfered from his unit's supply. She, in turn, would leave him small, human things. A polished stone, a pressed flower she'd found growing through a crack in the concrete, a child's drawing she'd salvaged from the debris. These simple exchanges became their language. He started to understand the soft curve of her smile, the sadness in her eyes when she looked out at the ravaged city. She began to see past the intimidating alien armor to the being within who risked everything just to see her safe. One evening, a patrol strayed too close. Kalen, watching from a nearby rooftop, saw the soldiers zeroing in on the library's heat signature. Panic, a foreign and electrifying emotion, seized him. He had to act. Without thinking, he created a diversion, firing his weapon into an empty building several blocks away, drawing the patrol's attention. It worked, but it was reckless. He rushed to her shelter, finding her trembling. He reached out, his three-fingered hand hesitating before gently touching her shoulder. She didn't flinch. Instead, she placed her small, warm hand over his. In that touch, a universe of unspoken words passed between them. Love, an illogical, inefficient human emotion he'd only read about in captured data files, bloomed in the sterile chambers of his heart. It was terrifying. It was magnificent. But secrets, especially in a military occupation, are a currency that eventually comes due. Kellen's frequent deviations from his duties, his unexplained presence in a supposedly cleared sector, did not go unnoticed. His commander, a being of pure logic and brutal efficiency named Zyler, had been monitoring him. Zyler saw the inconsistencies, the statistical anomalies that all pointed to one location, the old library. To Zyler, compassion was a malfunction, a flaw in the system that needed to be purged. He didn't understand what drove Kalen, but he knew it was a betrayal. The trap was set with cold, calculated precision. One rainy night, as Kalen shared a quiet moment with Alina just outside her shelter, the world exploded in blinding searchlights. They were surrounded. Zyler and his elite guard materialized from the shadows, their weapons humming with lethal energy. The rain fell in sheets, slicking the cobblestones of the deserted city square they had been forced into. There was no escape. Zyler's voice, a synthetic grating sound, cut through the downpour. "Soldier K-734, he boomed, addressing Kalen by his designation. "You have violated the Prime Directive. You have consorted with the native species. This is treason." Zyler shoved Alina forward, forcing her to her knees in the center of the square. He tossed a weapon at Kellen's feet. "The penalty is death," Zyler declared, his voice devoid of any emotion. "But your service has been adequate. You will be granted a chance to redeem yourself. Execute the native. Prove your loyalty. Purge your defect." The ultimatum hung in the air, heavier than the storm clouds above. Every soldier had their weapon trained on them. One move, one sign of defiance, and they would both be incinerated. Kalen looked at Alina. She was soaked, shivering, but her eyes were fixed on him. There was no fear left, only a profound, heartbreaking trust. She knew. She understood the choice he was being forced to make. He had shown her a kindness she thought was extinct, and she was now ready to pay the price for it. Kellen's entire existence had been about following orders, about logic, about the mission, but none of that mattered anymore. All he could see was her. He could feel his internal systems warring with an emotion he couldn't control. His gaze shifted from Alina to his commander, then back. He slowly bent down, his movements stiff, and picked up the weapon. He raised it, his arm trembling. Zyler watched, a flicker of what might have been satisfaction in his optical sensors. The soldiers tensed, ready for the flash. But Kalen didn't point the weapon at Alina. He turned, slowly, deliberately, until it was aimed squarely at Zyler. And then, something happened that no one, least of all Kalen, could have predicted. A tear, then another, traced a path down his alien cheek. But these were not tears of water. They were glowing, luminous drops of liquid light, a bioluminescent reaction to extreme emotional distress his species had long thought they'd evolved past. He stood there, frozen in the rain, weapon raised, glowing tears illuminating his face. In that single, silent moment of rebellion, he made his choice. It wasn't a choice for his people or for his duty. It was a choice for love. A choice for the woman kneeling in the rain, who had taught his cold soldier's heart how to feel. The standoff was absolute, the rain the only sound. Whatever happened next, whether it was his death or a war against his own kind, he had already decided. He would not be a soldier anymore. He would be hers. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you were moved by Kalen and Elena's story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the far reaches of imagination. Let me know in the comments what you think Kalen should do next. Till next time, stay curious.